Hello, students. Let's begin. Our book discusses the birth of Moshe all the way to the Israelites leaving Egypt. The story begins with the 11 tribes all entering Egypt with their families. They become 70 souls. It then discusses how the death of Yosef comes about, and also him and his siblings all in that generation pass away. It's important to note the relationship that Yosef had with Pharaoh. A new Pharaoh arose who did not know Yosef. He resolved to find a solution to the Israelite problem. He said, "They are far too fruitful and multiplying. They're becoming very strong and mighty. We must do something to protect ourselves." What is Pharaoh going to do? What is Pharaoh going to do? Well, students, if you were in his position, what would you do? He proposed to afflict the Israelites and impose them with slave labor, preventing them from multiplying. He implemented a plan, and the Israelites were forced to construct storage cities for him. But as much as they would afflict them, so did they multiply and gain strength. Pharaoh then summoned the Hebrew midwives and instructed them to kill all the Hebrew sons that they delivered. The righteous midwives, Shifra and Puah, feared Hashem, however, and defied Pharaoh's orders. Pharaoh summoned the midwives, screaming at them, "How dare you did not follow my orders?" The midwives said, "It's not our fault, Pharaoh. By the time we reach the women, the babies have already been delivered. The Jewish women are tricking us." Hashem rewarded the midwives for their bravery. We're going to have a quick look at some video clips to show us what was taking place at that time.
My son, I have nothing I can give but this chance that you may live. I pray we'll meet again if you will deliver. Hush now, my baby, be still now, don't cry. Sleep as you're rocked by the stream. Sleep and remember my last lullaby. So I'll be with you when you dream.
Paro's daughter was bathing in the Nile. Miriam, as we saw, observed how Paro's daughter swept Moshe out of the Nile and decided to find a nursemaid for him. Miriam goes to get her mother Yocheved to nurse Moshe for the first 2 years of his life, at which time she gives back Moshe to Batia, the daughter of Paro, and Paro takes him to her household, to the house of her father, and he becomes the prince of Egypt. Moshe was raised in Paro's palace. When he matured, he went out one day and saw an Egyptian whipping a Hebrew. Moses slew the Egyptian. Words of his deed reached Paro, and Moses was taken to Paro to be punished. Moshe was sentenced to death by his father, Paro. He had no choice but to flee. He ran to the country of Midian, not far from Egypt, where he ran into a woman named Zipporah, along with her sisters who were shepherding sheep. Moses explains to Zipporah his dilemma. He explains how he's running away from Paro. Zipporah knew that he was still in danger. She said, "Let me take you home and take care of you." Funnily enough, her taking care of him was sticking him in a pit at a hole in the ground, where he stayed for several years. She fed him on a daily basis, and they became friends. After several years of being in the hole, Zipporah tells Moshe it is safe for him to come out. They get married, and they have a son named Gershom. Back in Egypt, in the meantime, the slavery of the Israelites gets harder and harder. They cry out to Hashem, who remembers his promise that he made to their forefathers. Moshe was shepherding the sheep of his father-in-law Yitro. He guided them far into the wilderness, and he ended up near the mountain of Horeb. An angel appeared to him in a blaze of fire from amidst a bush. He saw it and said, "How is this bush not being consumed by the fire?" Moshe thought, "I will turn aside now and not look at this great sight." Hashem called out to him from amidst the bush and said, "Moshe, Moshe." And he replied, "Here I am." He said, "Do not come closer to here. Remove your shoes from your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground." Hashem gave Moshe specific instructions. "Go and gather the elders of Israel and say to them, I have heard your cries, and I shall bring you up from the affliction of Egypt to a land flowing with milk and honey." Hashem informed Moshe that Paro would not agree to this request, but redemption would come nevertheless. Moshe returned to his father-in-law's house and told him his mission. Yitro said, "Go in peace." On their way down to Egypt, Zipporah rescues Moshe from the anger of Hashem by performing a bris milah on her son. Moshe was in such a hurry to go down to do Hashem's will that he forgot to take care of his son's bris milah. God told Moshe to warn Paro, "So said God, my firstborn son is Israel. So I say to you, send out my son that he will worship me. And if you refuse to send him out, behold, I will slay your firstborn son." Moshe has a concern. He tells Hashem, "The people won't believe me." Moshe had a speech impediment and thought that the people would not understand anything which he said. Therefore, Hashem assigns Aaron to be Moshe's spokesperson. Hashem then reveals 3 signs to Moshe. The first one, he tells him to throw his staff to the ground, and it will become a snake. And when he retrieves it, it will become a staff again. The second sign, Hashem tells Moshe to put his hand in his chest, and it will become leprous like snow. Then, when he returns it back to his chest, his hand returns to normal. And the last of the 3 signs, he says, if Paro still does not believe you, then take water from the Nile, pour it on dry ground, and it will become blood. Moses and Aaron went to Paro and presented God's demand. Paro mocked their request and instructed the Egyptian taskmasters to increase the Israelite slaves' workload. Paro made the Israelites make their own bricks from straw, which they had to collect. Besides the burden of making bricks, the taskmasters used to beat them for not filling their daily quota, saying that they were lazy, and the lazier they were, the more they increased their workload. The people complained to Moshe, saying, "Look what you've done to us! You've made our lives even more bitter." Moshe returns to Hashem, saying, "My words have brought more evil upon your people. Hashem said, "Now you will see what I will do to Paro, for with a mighty hand I will send you out." Well, students, as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Until next week, see you soon.